Okay, we are going to be making dog food today. So I don't know if you've noticed in some of our other videos that we do raw meat diet for our dogs. And there's a lot of controversy about that diet with a lot of people. This is something that we researched a lot. I do have a background in nutrition, so I knew how to research it. We've been doing this diet with our dogs for how many years?
Oh, it started with Lucy.
When she was
So
4.
when she was 4, she lived to be 12.
No,
16.
She lived to be 16.
So that would have been,
So that's 12 years.
yeah,
And
plus,
and then she died how many years ago?
would have been 3 years ago. So we've been doing it for,
So
I don't know, 15.
At least 15 years we've been doing this. So the first 2 dogs we did it were both Siberian Huskies. Lucy lived to be 16. Bella lived to be 16. Charlie, we got him from the pound. He started off, he was about 5 years old when we got him. So he's only been on that diet for 3 years, I think. Luna is the first dog we will be doing this from a puppy. She got a little bit of puppy chow from the breeder we got it from, but for the most part, she's going to be the first one that we've done it full time with. But we've noticed a huge difference with, because Bella, when we got her, she was from the pound, and her fur was awful. She smelled. You didn't want to touch her because she felt greasy. Her teeth were yellow. When she pooped, they were giant. They looked like cow poop. Like, it was giant. It smelled awful. Like, she looked awful. And within, I think, 2 weeks of feeding her.
Yeah, 2 to 3 weeks.
2 to 3 weeks of feeding her this way, her coat was gorgeous. It was luscious. You could pet her and not have any residue come off on your hands. She didn't have dandruff anymore. Her teeth were white. Even her eyes. We noticed her eyes were brighter. So we've just noticed, and her poop. Their poops are very small and dark when they do this, and they don't really smell that much, and they decompose a lot faster. So we've noticed a huge difference in the health of our animals feeding them like this. So we think it's worth it to do it this way. So
One of the other things that people like to say about this is, well, once a dog gets a taste for blood,
yeah, I've heard that.
That they're going to be vicious, that they're going to be hard to contain, stuff like that.
Yep.
And the dog that we had before, now none of our dogs are now, but Lucy, the dog that we had before, was actually a quarter wolf.
Yeah.
And she had been eating the raw meat for most of her life, and we never had a problem with her. Like, she was never aggressive. We haven't seen any difference from all the people that we know that have fed raw meat.
Quick side note, I do not recommend getting wolf mixes.
Yeah.
Lucy was a very weird dog, but she did not display many wolf tendencies, but I do not recommend that mix. You're getting a wild animal mixed with a domesticated animal. That's a very confusing mix for that animal. They don't know how to act, and more often than not, they end up being aggressive just because they're so confused. And so then they end up having to be put down, and that's just, it's not a good idea to do that mix. Not unless you really, really know what you're doing. That being said, so I feel like if somebody says that, that's an animal that had aggression issues already. It wasn't the diet that necessarily changed that. So what we do, the basics of this, obviously any animals that we're butchering on the farm, we keep all the scraps. So any of the rib bones that are soft that the dogs can chew, we keep those. I do not give them leg bones because they're just a little bit too hard on their teeth. It depends what breed you have. So Luna can eat leg bones and she seems to be fine, but she's a Great Pyrenees. She's a lot larger dog. Charlie, I noticed his teeth are a little bit more sensitive. His teeth start wearing down more if I give him leg bones. So in general, I just don't tend to give leg bones, but that's up to you what you want to do with your animal. Just pay attention.
Yep. And then we just set stuff out on trays and freeze it. We've noticed that the dogs, if it's not frozen,
They tend to swallow it.
yeah, they want to just swallow the pieces whole.
So what we have here are pork hearts. We also have a bag of pork tongues, but we'll have to freeze those tomorrow because we don't have enough room to freeze them all at once. So I order bulk bags of pork tongues and pork hearts. Sometimes I'll get the livers. These are one of the cheaper options for us. I do not like to give red meat to our dogs just because Charlie has arthritis issues. Red meat tends to be inflammatory. So Luna seems to be fine with red meat, but I don't want to get stuff that's just for her. So if you have a dog with arthritis, you want to stay clear of red meat.
You already ate.
So we just cut these up into chunks that are small enough that we can give them a mix of different things. Also, so they have to chew on it. That chewing while it's frozen actually helps clean their teeth and their gums, so it's really good for them.
You want the piece big enough that they're going to be able to chew on it. So if it fits in the palm of your hand, something like that, you don't want it any smaller than that because they'll just swallow it whole, especially if they're a bigger dog.
Yeah.
For a smaller dog, I could see that this would be all right.
Yeah.
But we've also noticed that we feed a lot less meat,
Yes.
less quantity of food, because something like this is a lot more nutrient dense
Okay.
than even the highest quality dog food that you can buy.
Stay down.
And
Nope. Down.
it seems to go a lot further when you're feeding meat rather than dog food itself.
You can also just feed just straight up muscle tissue. It's cheaper for us to go with this stuff. Organ meat has a lot more nutrients in it than just muscle tissue does. So that's another reason we feed them the organs.
If you're not sure, contact your local butcher. Find somebody that is doing meat processing. A lot of these things you can get for very inexpensive because it's stuff that people don't want.
Yeah.
That's about it. Unless you got more.
Okay, there's a little bit more information. So, I was saying before, when we butcher any of our animals, we keep all of the organ meat that we're not using. So the lungs, the heart, if it's chickens, the gizzards, the livers. If it's chickens, I'll sometimes keep the legs and the feet for them. And then any of the rib bones. I just freeze them out on like a cookie sheet like we just did here, and I freeze them individually, and then we throw them in a bag when we're done, and then we just give them what they need.
If you're using gloves, make sure you put them in a trash receptacle that is closed, because little ones like to get them, and you don't want them eating these things.
Yeah. What else do we do? So yeah, bones, not too often. We feed, well, and it depends the life stage of your animal. There are websites out there that talk you through how to do these things. A lot of the stuff we do is because of experience on what we've seen that works best with our animals. Charlie, we only feed him bones maybe 2 to 3 times a week. Luna, she's a puppy, she's growing, she needs more cartilage, more of the nutrients that are in the bone tissue. So she gets them like every other day, maybe a little bit more than that. It just depends on her growth cycle.
If we see that she's sprouting up and growing, we'll make sure to give her more bones at that point. And you can judge it based on what the dog wants too. If you have a chunk of meat in your hand and you put down the chunk of meat and also a bone and let the dog sniff both of them and make a decision, you would be really surprised. That dog will choose what it needs for nutrients. And we as humans don't pay enough attention to animals.
Yeah, they know what they need. The other thing, we also give them raw eggs. I don't like giving them cooked eggs. That gives them horrible gas. We also give them fruits and vegetables. Now, depending on the dog, our dogs will eat fruits and vegetables raw. So I'll give them broccoli stems, I'll give them apples, bananas. There's a few things they should avoid. The nightshade family is iffy. So like tomatoes, eggplants, potatoes, peppers, those types of things tend to be more inflammatory for dogs. So like if they have them every once in a while, it's not going to hurt them, but I don't make them part of their diet.
Stay away from avocados too.
Oh yeah, avocados are a no as well. What else? There's a list of things you shouldn't give dogs in general. I know grapes is on that list. Isn't macadamia nuts on there?
Yeah, there's a few on there. Do some research if this is something you're interested in. Get on the internet. There's a lot of misinformation out there too. If you have any questions, post down in the comments and ask. We've been doing this for quite a while. We've got good experience with it.
Yeah.
We can answer most of your questions. If not, we can find an answer for you.
I also use herbs, especially while they're growing. There's different herbs for different things. There's a lot of different stuff. If they're sick, I use herbs. Charlie, I use turmeric a lot because he has arthritis. That is an anti-inflammatory herb. So there's so much information.
We don't have enough time in a video to show all of it.
If you guys have questions, especially about the herbs, well, any of it, feel free to ask and we could do another video or answer your questions directly. But I think that's it for this one.
That's it.
Thanks.